Hey, you guys, Mustache here, this time with another podcast. I know it's been a very long time now since we've had an official one. So, this time it's going to be, of course, me, Mustache.
Mega Man.
Gorgeous Man.
And then we are without Captain Holiday today, just because he was very tired.
Poor baby.
So, this time we're going to be talking about the new DC show that has come out on Fox, which is Gotham, which tells the story of an up-and-coming Jim Gordon, as well as we do see a young Bruce Wayne, as well as a young Catwoman. Pretty much everybody in their early years. There are a few discrepancies, but we will go through that as we go along. We're starting this off a little later, so this is going to be covering the first and second episode. So let's get right into it.
Oh, shit.
All right, so
Okay,
who wants to take the floor right away and describe what they saw and how they felt about it?
I think we should have Mustache do the honors, because he always starts it off.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start it off. Since I was, I'll go ahead and do that. So,
Positives and negatives.
Positive, I think it has a lot of potential. First episode, you see a lot of potential. You see a lot of kind of things going on in the potential stories. So,
as you guys, just to give you guys a heads up, it is about 2:00 a.m. in the morning, so this is a very late podcast. So if you hear us mumble or repeat ourselves a little bit and sound a little bit monotonous at certain times, just let us be known that we are low on caffeine and high on life.
Pepper, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Shut up.
So we have, of course, the main cast. I might not know the actors' names, but I will try to do that.
Just go by character names.
So we have Fish Moody, played by Jada Pinkett Smith. Harvey Bullock, who's actually played by
the guy from Ghost Rider.
The guy from Ghost Rider. He was Ghost Rider's best friend.
That's Donald Log.
Donald
Log.
Logue.
Logue. I don't know.
Okay. And then
Logue.
Probably Logue.
Let's go with Donald Logue.
We have James Gordon, played by the hunk from the OC.
God.
If you remember that show.
As well as Southland. I really think that, going back to that, maybe that's why he got this role, is because of how he was in Southland.
Yeah.
And I want to say Southland was on Fox as well.
I believe so.
So was the OC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
He's a Fox guy. He's a Fox.
They own him.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Fox owns that man.
Foxy Brown.
And then, did we find a name for that one?
Ben McKenzie.
And then for Penguin, we do see the early forms of Penguin as him serving kind of under Fish, who technically Fish is even under Falcone. But we see him.
Robin Lord Taylor.
As well as we have the early Edward Nygma, which I think as far as any characters on the show, he's kind of one of my favorites right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because he's the one guy who's kind of already building up to his main character. I feel like Penguin's doing it, but still Penguin isn't
He's still a Padawan. He's still learning.
Yeah.
We've seen more of Penguin than we have of Edward Nygma so far.
Yeah.
So we kind of have an idea of where they're going with him.
Yeah.
Rather than with further. Oh, and the actor name for Edward Nygma is Corey Michael Smith.
Okay. And then we have Barbara Keene, who is actually Gordon's newlywed. Or they're either going out,
fiance or they're dating.
Okay, yeah, they're in that kind of early stage.
Aaron Richards, by the way.
Played by Aaron Richards. And then we have a young Catwoman. She seems pretty cool. I think the only problem with her is that I think in the comic books we haven't seen those early years of Catwoman. So, we can't really say yay or nay on a lot of this stuff.
It's more like first impressions as of right now of the show itself, because, a lot of this is non-canon for sure, because a lot of the backstories have been changed around a lot, because we did see the young Poison Ivy Pepper.
Yeah.
And a few of the other characters that they've kind of hinted at so far. So, the show is still in early development. It's looking good so far. It has everything you'd want from, a gritty, crime drama, whatever it is. Like a cop show. Kind of like SVU, because there's a lot of backstory. It starts at something and then ends going with a lot of backstory to, either something upcoming, foreshadowing, or something that had already been brought up.
Yeah.
So, right now, the whole thing, I guess, the bias of this first season is who killed Bruce Wayne's parents. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's going to be a long-standing stature on the show, or if it's going to be something that's going to be round up in season 1, kind of like what Arrow does, where it introduces something at the beginning of it and tries to wrap it up by the end of it, and then leave you with a cliffhanger for the next season to come out. Which, as of right now, Netflix already got the first season, so it looks like the show has a lot of potential with hype that was going on around it. I'm not disappointed so far. I'm gonna be honest. It's living up to expectation. I mean, it is starting off a little slow, but it's even a further backstory than any Batman movie than we've ever been given.
The only thing I fear is that, like, in them trying to add more characters, the story is gonna get, like, muddy. That, like, you know, we're gonna have either a timeline that's really, you know, going into each other, or a timeline that's not gonna, you know, meet up with either the New 52 or the originals and things like that.
But then again, it is sort of like a prequel to, like Beto was saying, it's pretty much non-canon with the backstories. Like that was one of the things I was gonna point out, is how it's not Dr. Pamela Isley or Isley.
Yeah, Isley.
Isley. It's Ivy Pepper, right?
Yeah, but I had actually seen something about that online, and they were thinking, you know, maybe we will see Ivy later in the series, and she might get adopted. You know, because we don't true. You know, the father was killed, and then the mom's kind of a, you know, yeah. So maybe she will get adopted and she'll become, you know, Ivy Isley. So that could work out. One thing I wanted to bring up too, Mega Man actually brought it up while I was watching the show, was the character that plays Gordon was actually Batman in year one. Or Bruce Wayne. And I thought that was actually pretty cool to see, like, he's already kind of been in the DC universe, to see him at the other side, you know? And then going into the first episode, you know, we pretty much, like the Gorgeous Man was saying, we get the main kind of plot for the premise for the season, which is the Wayne death. And you see how a new Gothamite, James Gordon, has now going into the force with Bullock, and kind of how, like, you know, Gordon's very much by the book, you know, this is law, this is how it should be, to where Bullock is really, like, walking that line between bad cop and a good cop.
So kind of like, he's not crooked, but he definitely has his deep skeletons in his closet. Yeah,
definitely. And I wouldn't doubt that they would try to maybe have that be an episode, you know, maybe or something from Bullock's past. Either spooks Gordon or
Jim finds out.
Who is I'm gonna say, it's only because I'm really tired that these names aren't coming to me as fast as they should be. Who was the partner of Jim Gordon during year one? Because he was like a long-standing character with Jim Flash. Yeah, that's on, like, maybe eventually they'll introduce Flash, like something's gonna happen to Bullock and Flash will be introduced, or Flash is already there and he just hasn't worked with him yet. Maybe he'll be a part of, like, the MCU or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe, you know, like we were saying with the past, maybe something does kind of spook Bullock and, you know, he has to leave and, you know, Flash comes out. And I think that'd be cool, because then we can kind of see, like, we see Gordon, I would say, like, maybe a wartime Gordon, because in that year one we see, you know, Gordon change from the, you know, cool cop and, you know, kind of taking things in,
understanding,
and then once he, you know, his button get pushed, then we see him, you know,
Yeah, I think I like the idea of Fish Mooney so far. I like that they're using her as an anchor for a lot of the things that are going on. I mean,
her and Falcone.
They're using her as, sorry.
Take time.
No, you caught me off guard with that comment right there, because it had nothing to do with what I was talking about. I was saying, I like how they're using her as an exploit of why the Penguin ends up the way he does, like where he goes from just like a little sidekick henchman to growing up to be the mastermind behind a lot of the gangster community that he becomes. Same with Falcone's either ascension or descension to the Maronis and stuff like that in this show. I mean, we don't know if they're going to take a route where this is going to lead up to the New 52 or any of the original canons, like the Nolan verse or the Dark Knight era and stuff, like the Frank Miller kind of Batman. I mean, right now, because we are seeing a young Bruce Wayne, which you've never seen before, where, like, it's him as a child before he even leaves to schooling or any of that stuff. I mean, he's still trying to understand what's going on and cope with his family's death. And you're seeing that, like, how the city is starting to turn into shambles after the parents' death. I mean, Falcone's conversation with him about how everything was in balance with the Waynes, how they were probably, like, the positive side of Gotham as there was a negative side, and now that they don't have that weight of the positive side on one end, it's going to just be unbalanced with all the negative energies and all the negative people coming in trying to take control. And I mean, if you looked at any of the original Batman movies or any of the lore, a lot of the people that were positive in Batman started going to the Falcone and, you know, the crime mob side, just because either out of fear or desperation, or, you know, they just wanted to make sure that they didn't lose out on their wealth. I mean, the Cobblepot's family, for starters, like, caught me off guard, because I know they started off wealthy and everything like that, and then they had their descent, which they kind of blame on the Waynes and stuff like that. And I mean, for that one, I could kind of see that working its way out in here, where Cobblepot comes back even after he's supposed to be committed dead, I guess, to them. I mean, there's so much that can go on from this show that, I mean, I don't see a lot of expectation for the original crime lords and stuff like that to take a lot of rise in this. I more or less see it revolving around the Wayne family's murder until maybe at the end of the season they'll, send Bruce off to school or something like that after they find out the murder. He's going to start coping with it. The murder, he'll start coping, and then they'll probably send him off, and then it'll go back to mainly focusing on Jim Gordon or anybody else that gets brought in. Maybe Bullock dies at the end of this and they bring in Flash or something. I mean, this is during the light early ages, so we're going to see a lot of characters that we don't recognize, a few characters that I guarantee we will recognize here and there. I mean, the hints at the Joker right now that he's going to be hinted in every episode, which I didn't see anybody in the second episode.
I was about to say that too.
Yeah, we didn't.
Anyone.
I saw the guy from the first one who seems plausible, but I mean, there was really nobody hinted in the second one.
Yeah.
Unless you go with that kid with the big hair or something that was like, kind of freaking out after they got kidnapped.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So,
another thing I wanted to bring up that you had actually said was that about Cobblepot actually moving up with Fish. That's actually a really good story, because I know with the New 52, they're having something going on similar to where Cobblepot leaves, and I think it's like his cousin is actually like pretty much responsible for him leaving, and so he wants to be called King Penguin.
Oh shit.
So it's kind of like that, maybe they have borrowed stuff from the New 52 and just kind of maybe flipped it on its ear.
Yeah.
As well as, in the first episode we do get that first Penguin ending, where James is put to the test. He can either try to remain true or, be taken to that dark side, and when, put up against a wall to either kill a person or let him live, he does let him live, and essentially creates Cobblepot's problem with him still being alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I'm going to say it right now. I think that the Joker might actually be that kid. Now that I keep thinking about it, I think he's going to be the kid with the long hair, because if you think about it, he was homeless, then he ends up kidnapped by some two crazy people, doesn't have any explanation to it, they're just stuck in a room, and then after, like I said, as shady as it was, after being homeless and then kidnapped and going to be tortured or for whatever, they get arrested and they're going to get sent to juvenile hall, and then they get captured again, and it's by the same crazy person and all that great stuff, and then they're gonna end up back in juvenile hall all over again. I mean, all of that plus including whatever he might endure like in the later on seasons. I'm gonna say that he's a good candidate for becoming the Joker, because in the episode he did seem a little quiet and freaking out at certain points, like when they start touching him, he's kind of like he's unsettled by it, and I mean, eventually he does look like he has a potential, like as of right now, moreover than that comedian from the first one. Yeah. To, end up with something else.
Yeah, but going to that first comedian as well, that's kind of, I'd seen people compare that to The Killing Joke.
The Killing Joke right away. Yeah. That's the first thing you get hinted at is The Killing Joke. But it would have to be way later on, because if you think about it, The Killing Joke ends with him being already... He would already have to be 40, because if Batman's already
that's true.
30, he would have to the Joker would have to be somewhere moderately around a teenager, if not anything like a young teenager, like a young adult,
like 12, 13.
Like, well, if Batman
probably closer to like 16,
probably like 16 or 17, because that guy, for that to be possible, it would just have to be that, because the comedian that was one thing, but he ended up the Joker because of Batman. After he fell into that thing, after he fell into that acid because he was down on his luck. I don't know how many comedians could go that many years as a bad comedian and then end up the way that the Joker did. So I would say he's a good homage to it, but I don't think he's it at all.
And then going back in episode 2, you see the Wayne kind of going back and maybe being affected by his parents' murder, of course. And kind of testing his threshold. You see him, burning himself, and then in the first episode, you see him like trying to overcome fear with heights, and things like that. So there's definitely those hints at other things, as well as we do get a little cameo from I'm not sure what his real name is, but Corey in the House up on episode 2, as well as we do get Penguin practicing his stabbing with when trying to catch a way out of Gotham. He meets two kind of frat boys, and they're like, "Hey, the way you're limping, you look like a penguin." And he just I
don't.
Breaks a bottle that they just gave him and just stabs him, which that's cool. As well as we do get an Arkham Asylum mention going in with these two people that are stealing people, as well as we do get a pretty concrete mention of the doll maker.
They say his name, the doll
maker.
Yeah,
they're pretty much, hey, it's the doll maker. So
what?
That's pretty cool, to see people actually being mentioned besides, Penguin, Edward Nygma, and things like that. As well as, I'm not sure if it's a confirmation or not, but even in the first episode, you see someone who looks like Zaz. There's a dude who's kind of going crazy, and you see a character that does look like Zaz. Even though I want to say in the timeline, Penguin is more established when Zaz comes around, because that's kind of the reason Zaz turns into what he is.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on in the show just off the bat, and for the first 2 episodes, they're pretty steady. Like I said, they got a lot going on. They're mentioning a lot of things. I just don't see us getting a major super villain until later on.
At least the second season.
Yeah, because I mean, in other shows that DC's incorporated, like Arrow and stuff like that, I mean, they can do it because, I mean, they started off, actually, it's kind of started off the same way. Like, Arrow really didn't have any main villains in season 1. It wasn't until season 2 that you get more Deathstroke, the induction of the Suicide Squad, and all this stuff going on that's more to the comic book related. I mean, the first season, you do get those names, you do get Count Vertigo and stuff like that, but they weren't super villains at that time. They were just, people transitioning into the villains that they become. And so for this one, we're either going to get mentions of villains that are going to become something later on, or we're just going to get a show that's kind of closer to, like I said, Law and Order or something, where everyone's going to end with just like a name drop of somebody who could be related to another character or something small or similar to different gangs or something that might rise up. Jim Gordon on patrol.
So it's just Jim Gordon out tonight. We're just looking for some ruffians. but going back to what you're saying about Arrow. I think that's what Arrow has going for it, is that, they are already pretty much in the universe, to where they're not saying, oh, hey, we're retelling these origins that have only been glimpsed at in stories. So I think, it's, as far as the other DC shows, going back to Flash, going back to Arrow, even going back to S.H.I.E.L.D., Gotham has very big shoes to fill just because they're working with a time period that hasn't been shown off.
This is a prequel to any of the DC verse right now. This is a big time prequel.
And like you said, Mustache, this has a lot of potential to go off of. Like, especially with Jim Gordon himself.
Yeah.
Like, we hear and we've seen a little bit of him.
This is Jim Gordon year 1.
Yeah, pretty much Jim Gordon year 1.
Besides Batman year 1, that first movie that came out, which was pretty much Jim Gordon, this is an actual Jim Gordon year 0, year 1, where he just started off. But
he was a war veteran, then he comes into Gotham looking for action still, and he gets action.
I don't think he went there looking for action. I think he went there with the expectations of making it home. And
he said this is where the action was to Bullock.
Well, after all the corruption he's been noticing. It wasn't like he went there with like intents of like, oh, this is such a corrupt place. This is where I want to retire, fighting all these people off. He went there thinking he was going to do his job as a cop, and then realizing how much corruption was going on. And then he's like, you know what? This, like Batman, the city needs me. And he feels like he's meant to be there at that point.
Not to mention, I think he even says in the series that, his father was the DA there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why he comes back, pretty much.
Yeah.
So he's been gone, and that's why he's coming back, is to kind of see, what his father had left.
That's another... go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was say that's another thing I want to hear more about. His father and Falcone. Like, the relationship they had. Like, Falcone dropped little tidbits with with Jim, but I want to know more, like, what was the exact arrangements they had? Like, what did Falcone do for Gordon, and what did Gordon do for Falcone?
Eventually, I feel they're going to touch bases with that, just because they left it as such open-ended mystery to this to that episode. They're going to bring it back. They're going to touch on that. There's going to be, I guarantee the show's going to have flashbacks, probably like, what time period would you guys say this is in? Like the early 2000s?
Nah, not with that phone they had.
Yeah, I would
Because
probably
everybody
say
had a flip phone.
Yeah,
So I would say probably like late 90s.
Yeah, I was thinking
maybe early 2000s.
I would say
more
like
late 90s.
mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
No, because I remember cell phones didn't get like flat and touchpad until like almost 2004, 2005. Even looking at some of the cars in those weren't like the car that Penguin has. That's not that a truck. It's not an older.
That
truck.
was like a Denali, wasn't it?
No, it looked like an SUV, like a Yukon or something.
Yeah, those see that style right there where it was kind of like rounded off. The 1990s had a lot of boxy shape.
Well, because I remember being like, I remember getting my first cell phone, which was a flip phone.
So
going into junior high, which was like 01, 02.
Yeah.
So we could say probably like we said late to
early 2000s.
Yeah.
So
in that vicinity.
So during that time period, I mean, you're looking at a whole new backstory at that point. So I mean, it's not like it's way in the past. So if they show any flashbacks of his dad, it might be like early 80s maybe.
Yeah.
So it's gonna still seem plausible. If anything, the early 80s ones will kind of see reminiscent to the original Batman storylines. So I can see that happening. But like I'm saying, this one I think might, in my opinion, might take a lot of material from the upcoming like New 52 era.
Going into what you're saying too, like, do you feel like maybe going into the New 52 we might get maybe not so much Wayne seeing it or even Gordon seeing it, but maybe seeing it in shadows, something like a Court of Owls?
As of right now, yeah. With the way that that the parents died and how they're kind of keeping secretive, it can either go Court of Owls or League of Shadows. One of those two, because the way Falcone just refuses to mention like what had happened or who had hired him. I mean, that would be honestly one of the best things to bring to life is actually, if they're going to bring anything from the New 52, would be an introduction of the Court of Owls and that kind of a storyline. Because
then you have that the granddaddy Wayne, being part of that Court of Owls, and the actual
Grayson too.
Yeah,
the older Grayson.
I don't know.
Have to film
Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne being part of pretty much saying I don't want to be part of the Court of Owls, and denying that line. Elaborate on what?
Court of Owls. I haven't heard of the Court of Owls. I'm not the big Batman guy here. I enjoy Batman.
Court of Owls is essentially a story where the Waynes, like, when they show up in the New 52 in Batman's era, they pretty much tell Batman, like, you're not the only masked crusader that's been around. And the Court of Owls is not like Bruce, to where he's gonna stick to the laws and pretty much be justice. The Court of Owls is vengeance, pretty much. Like they're like the League of Shadows, but just in Gotham.
Oh, okay.
And it goes back all the way to like Jonah Hex.
Kind of like
what?
Yeah.
Kind of like the Royal Flush Gang.
Yeah.
They're an older family, and they stick to Gotham, and it's like Gotham's roots. So you'll see like people like the Waynes, I believe the older Graysons, and all those families that believe that Gotham had potential to not to come to
what it is
now. They were there to clean it up. They're basically what the League of Shadows was in Batman Begins.
Right.
But it was their own unity, and they lived underneath the Wayne Tower?
It was either Wayne Tower, or I want to say like one of the clock towers in town. Like their base was kind of like how Black Canary was in Arrow.
Yeah.
How she was in the clock tower. It was like that.
Yeah.
They had the coop. Wasn't it underground?
Yes.
I think it was underground because they had like the different training centers underground.
Yeah. And some of these people are old. I mean, they preserve themselves and stuff so that way they can be revived when they need to,
like
need
be. Yeah. Like the League of Shadows, like you said.
Yeah, they're pretty much like they're revived whenever they need to come back, and then they go back into ice like into like a hyper.
Perfect example, like the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of something else. That's how they are. They get preserved until they're needed, and then they come out, and then they go right back into being a owlsicle.
Kind of being.
I was about to say that too.
Kind of going off of this whole Court of Owls Gotham thing.
I would love this to be a New 52. I'm gonna be honest. I would love for this to be a New 52 because I mean we got the Nolan verse. We have what is it right now? The
Tim Burton,
the Frank Miller versions of the Batman movies coming out, sort of in a sense. So especially because the new Batman versus Superman Justice League movie that's coming out, it looks more like the Frank Miller and version of it. There was a Tim Burton like Batman era. So for me right now, if they're trying to introduce this as like a New 52 standpoint, I could see that working, and then eventually it could lead up to maybe like a Batman show. I highly doubt it because he's too much of a big franchise to have a show like that. So I can't see it. I can't see a standalone actual live action Batman show. Nightwing and those ones I could kind of see it where he drops in, but not something where I can see them saying like this is Gotham's going off. Why don't we just do it? No, he would do better in films. He makes more money in films.
But at the same time, look what they did with Superman, like with Smallville. And Superman was big in the 80s, especially with Christopher Reeves.
But after Superman 4, everybody kind of dropped out of the whole
Superman
thing.
But still, I mean, they were able to do it with Superman.
Going back to what you're saying about Batman, I could maybe see them doing a Batman series, but just not, turning it up as much as the movies do.
It'd be like a year one Batman
exactly,
show.
Yeah.
If they did, it would be a whole year one show, kind of like how they're introducing this one. It'd probably be, if the show lasts at least 5 years maybe after the show ends, then they'll probably try to introduce a Batman year one or Gotham Knight or something like that.
The only thing that I fear though is that if this show does do great and they try to push it to more seasons, is these child actors are gonna they're gonna grow. They're either gonna look more or less like the characters, or they're gonna say like I've done that, I don't want to be there anymore, or they might have only signed for this season. To where maybe next season, it's going to be a 10-year jump.
Yeah.
True.
Because it's not the first time like something like that has happened to where there's been a big jump like that.
I do like who they picked for a young Selena Kyle though. She has the attitude. It's not just the attitude. It's just what
she looks like Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, it's the uncanny resemblance that she has with Michelle Pfeiffer, the original Catwoman.
But I guess the only thing I don't like about her is that she's already using like the Cat moniker, to where going back to Batman Year One, which is gonna be the pretty much go-to for this type of thing, is just that like she does it pretty much because of Batman. Like this guy's going around in a mask and cape. I like cats. Let me go ahead and do the same thing.
Or she just doesn't like her name.
Just rearrange everything that we know and just start off fresh.
Or she just doesn't like her slave.
He's got an Etch a Sketch. They shook in. They're like Gotham, like it or not.
Because she automatically hates the cops, and she has good reason to.
Yeah.
And then the only one she really trusts is Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
Which I would trust Jim Gordon too.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
I would take Gordon out for a Subway sub.
For a Subway sub.
Subway sub. You cheap bastard.
Subway
$5 foot long.
Hey man, he's gonna get full on the Subway sub. And if he wants a chip, I'll get him a chip. All right,
a chip.
A bag of chips.
There you go.
Or even maybe.
I was like, damn. What are you trying to make sure he watches?
If he wants, I will pay the extra so he can get the 2 cookies if he's trying to get some sugar in his blood. Okay.
Are you like trying to watch his figure?
You're trying to get some sugar in your blood.
I know, for real. I think someone's got a Jim Gordon crush over here.
Hey man.
I mean, did you watch him in the OC as well?
California.
He watched him in the OC.
Is it still Man Crush Monday?
No, it's Titty Tuesday.
No.
Turn it up Tuesday.
Yeah.
For Man Crush Monday. We're going to revive it right now. Jim Gordon. I loved you in the OC.
But, it was fun to watch it, and we did watch it with Holiday, and that's kind of the cool thing in watching it with people. You can kind of pick out things that you think are funny and things like that. Because the show has its corny moments, and if you can find one thing to kind of push into there all the time, it works. And so, like, we found this one reference, like, when the dude was trying to stab, like, Mr. Peppers or whatever, he was trying to, like, stab him, and I was just like, ha-ha! like the dude from Futurama. So it worked for Roberto from Futurama. It worked in every little instance, like... Some dude like comes out of the corner like, ha ha! So it works.
Oh shit!
Just remember that scene and use that whenever you watch these episodes. Remember that noise and use it
gotta
whenever you see a knife.
We gotta put a picture.
If you see a knife get branded, Brandish, you use that noise every single time.
You know what? And I'm not saying by any means that we have a lot of people watching or hearing the podcast, but if you would like us to do, like, maybe a commentary on some of the shows that we watch, I know I myself would not deny it, and I would love to see if people like that.
Totally.
Because, who
we
doesn't...
talk a lot, dude.
Yeah. Because who doesn't want to practice their stabbing, So, anything else, guys, that you would like to maybe bring up?
I'm enjoying the backstories. Like,
Okay.
I like how they didn't push Riddler too much yet. Like, he's in it for, what, a minute and a half at the most.
I think as far as, like, the 2 episodes, we've only seen him maybe a total of 5 minutes?
Probably.
Less.
Way less.
Yeah.
Well, the first episode, you saw more of him than in the second episode.
yeah.
The second episode, he comes in and he's like, oh, haha, comes back out. The first episode, he was pissed at Jim Gordon. Oh, he was pissed.
I'm hoping that, we see him, like, maybe start to go into that madness,
And
like,
he blames Jim Gordon for it later.
maybe he starts to wear green a little more, and they're like, oh, hey, it's my favorite color, like...
you can see, like, the potential it has. This show has a lot of potential, and it seems really good so far. I mean, there's always going to be the cynics that are going to look at it and be like, it's not Batman. It's
not Batman. It's really not.
I mean, to be honest, to look at it like a year 0 for James Gordon, James Gordon, I call him James Gordon, but Jim Gordon. I mean, I'm really open to the idea. I really want to see how they run either the villains coming up or the references as a child. I want to see what he had to endure to make him grow the mustache and become the guy that he was later on down the line. I want to see what his... Because, I mean, there's one thing being a war hero, but then there's another thing being like a veteran cop.
Yeah.
And, he does work his way up to what, commissioner and all that stuff.
Commissioner.
So, seeing him as a rookie cop and working his way up, I mean, he's going to take a lot going through this. And then you can kind of see where maybe down the line, why he doesn't really tolerate Batman in the beginning of it. You'll see why, like, going his route and seeing the things that he has to do, and then having this guy just miraculously show up in Gotham and wearing a cape and trying to do what he, establishing himself faster and doing what he wanted to do within the first few years or seasons of the show. Batman gets done, like, immediately. So you can see where that little turmoil comes in and where he kind of respects him, but I mean, you get the feeling of why he kind of did not like Batman in the first season, within the first 5 years, I think, normally in the comic. He really didn't care for Batman. He was kind of like, on the fence with him and stuff because he always felt something could happen. But, I mean, this show can give us a lot of reasons why Gordon was like that. Because, I mean, if you're a fan of Batman, you go to it with just like, oh, he's the greatest, blah, blah, you're going to expect people to get along on shit with him because of what he had to endure as a kid. But then you don't kind of get the backstory for anybody else. You focus on him primarily. So when it comes to Gordon or anybody else that doesn't feel like, oh, he's the greatest thing ever, then you're kind of upset, like, well, why don't they like him? Why, what's going on here? And now that you kind of see what's going on before Batman even shows up, you're like, okay, yeah, maybe Batman was wrong at that time, or, maybe it could be at the point where James Gordon's finally going to do everything that he wants to do, and then Batman jumps in and, like, somehow messes it all up for him. So, I mean, it could go a lot of different ways after this, and you can see Batman for either the menace or the hero that he is after when he makes his first appearance and stuff. So, I'm going into this with an open mind because none of this stuff everything's going to be new. This is not something that's established yet, so you have to keep an open mind with it. So I'm looking forward to it. I would say, if you haven't seen the shows yet, just watch the first 2 episodes and then kind of get yourself on transition. I mean, it's the same thing as Arrow. It's going to be a slow start, but then midway it'll probably catch up and you'll start seeing like, okay, so this person or that person could be the killer, or this is what's going on now, and this is what's this person's coming in now, and you can be excited or you can be upset about certain things, but you just gotta take it with a grain of salt and keep like sticking to it, and then maybe by the end of the season you'll be like, oh, okay, season 2's coming, just kind of like The Walking Dead or any of the shows that are really famous right now where people didn't like it at the beginning but then started loving it towards the middle, the ending of it, and then when it ends, people are like, oh man, I gotta wait like 5 or 6 more months for the next season to start. So,
or even when the show's finally done, they're just like, what do I do with my life?
I would like to see, as much as we're talking about the now, I guess in the future I would maybe like to see how they maybe close the story. Yeah. Maybe somewhere down the line, it's going to be either a memory of Jim Gordon, like maybe Jim Gordon when he's on his, deathbed, or, Gordon's going to be talking to Batman, something like that, to where what warrants what we're learning now to, what we're seeing in the future, pretty much.
Yeah. Because did you ever see Jim Gordon? You never really see Jim Gordon pass away during the original Batman series, right? The cartoon one?
You see him, you see him hurt. We've seen him hurt in the movies. We've seen him have that, like that one-to-one with Batman to where they're discussing things. But that's about it. We never see him, either internal monologue. Actually, no. I think we see him a couple times in the New 52 do the internal monologue during Eternal. But that's it.
Yeah, and I mean, other than stories where they mention his death or how he died, I mean, even on film or even in the animated series, which people anybody who watches the animated series holds up to a high standard. You never really see Jim Gordon's death or his his last moments. It went straight from the animated series or Batman and Robin, the new adventures, into there was Justice League, but it went from that to Batman Beyond, where as of that point you're already with Barbara Gordon.
Oh, that's true.
So you really never see James Gordon mentioned again, except for probably his gravestone or something. Yeah. So I mean, for that, I would like to see the ending of his story, and then the beginning of if they do decide to do a Batman, and they recast him with. I'm gonna be honest, I like this guy as Gordon. He has the attitude, and he looks like he can transition to that role really well. So I really like the casting choice for the show so far. I mean, lackluster a bit on the Alfred. But then again, you got to remember this Alfred's a lot younger than when Batman's already in his 30s and stuff.
And he's not that understanding yet of how to handle a young man.
Yeah, he's at this point he's kind of like the single dad and stuff. So he has to do that fatherly figure. Love. So for him to have to turn to Gordon for help, I thought that was actually pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm giving this show at least right now a solid 8 to give it a shot. In my opinion, I'll probably give it a 9.
Yeah, so, I would have to agree with you.
I'll give it an 8. For anybody that hasn't seen the show or is a cynic to comic book stuff, I'll give it an 8. In my opinion, I'll give it a 9 just because for me it's hitting a lot of things that I wanted to see from a show that doesn't involve Batman. But for anybody that just wants to see a new show, something different, kind of like watching Arrow for the first time, I give it about an 8 and the chance of trying to watch it.
Give it an 8 as well.
Yeah, like I said, I would probably give it the 8 as well. 8s across the board.
I can't wait till tomorrow for Women Crush Wednesday so I can put Fish Mooney on there. This is the first time I actually think that she
coming from really the guy who thought it was Vivica A. Fox instead of Jada Pinkett Smith.
I just don't find her pretty in a lot of her.
And then bam, all of a sudden,
I was surprised because
Jada Pinkett.
To me, she was cute when she was younger, and then lately when I see her, she's just not pretty to me. And
I still thought she was attractive in The Matrix. I don't give a shit.
I saw her in The Matrix. I didn't find her attractive. She looked too much like a man.
The only time I think she had her hair maybe down or anything like that was in Zion, and then at the other time she had her hair in the little
little weird
egg things on her head,
puff balls, whatever those things are.
Yeah.
One question before we wrap this up.
She looks pretty with the red hair though.
What villain do you want to see young? Like Killer Croc.
You know who I'm always going to be partial to.
Joker.
It's going to be
Joker. Besides Joker. We all want to see a young Joker. Besides Joker, who do you want to see as a young villain?
Or reference or what?
Reference or actually see him. That's tough, huh?
It is very tough.
For me, I already got a couple. I would say Clayface.
That was one of
just
mine.
as a young actor, like I said earlier. Clayface, possibly... Harvey Dent, maybe, but he would have to be a mid-teenager.
Because him and Batman were about
Solomon Grundy. I'm gonna pick a wild card. Solomon Grundy, just because they already had mentioned him in the Arrow on how he became as that Cyrus or whatever.
Brother Cyrus.
Brother Cyrus. I would love to see him, just a random grave that says "Here lies Solomon Grundy." I would love to see that. I'd just start rolling. I'd be if they somehow end up back at the cemetery and you see a grave for Solomon Grundy.
Not to mention, since we saw Grodd in the pilot for Flash.
Yeah, I would love.
Pretty cool.
I would love to see him.
Cool.
So for me, I would even say a reference to another character, maybe how people are starting to speculate that the Aquaman was referenced in the first Superman. If they kind of mention the Amazonians or anything like that, they kind of make a quick reference to Princess Diana. Or
here you go. See if you catch that.
Yeah, or like if you see a young kid come in like, "Hi, I'm Clark Kent." That would be cool. That I would love to see somebody else from like another universe pop in.
I'm gonna agree with you on the Clayface part. I didn't even think about him until you said it. Killer Croc. I don't know how they would fit it in. I've always liked Killer Croc though.
I'm wondering if the
Killer
show's
Croc.
gonna take that like that
Scarecrow.
more. That's who I was thinking of.
Black Mask.
That's who I was thinking of.
Black Mask, like we talked about earlier. Too,
Black
as well.
Mask too could actually.
Yeah.
That would be.
I would probably like to see Black Mask and Scarecrow.
Scarface.
Because like we got the hint at Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about it being shut down, and it gets reopened when Batman comes back, pretty much. So I would like to see Scarecrow, up and coming.
Kind of like if you play the video game for Arkham Asylum and you go to the board and it tells you like the schedule for the doctors, so you see Dr. Crane's name up there and stuff like that.
Harley Quinn.
It'd be too early.
It's too early, but like maybe season 2.
Well, that's the thing, though.
No,
like
she's really young.
Joker has to be established already for Harley Quinn to come about.
I'm saying I want to see her.
Everybody wants to see, everybody wants to see her in like.
I would love to see who they cast as her.
Everybody wants to see the main villains, but for me, I would like to see like I said, either heroes or reference villains from another universe, or possibly villains from the ones that you just don't hear every day. That when you see, you're just like, oh, that's who it is. Like Scarface, like the guy who actually controls the Scarface. I forget his name, but the puppet master for him. I mean, if you just come across like him being the kooky character, like the guy that you said was referencing, that could be Sass. I mean, that one could be Scarface. Yeah. He could be like, a young guy that is freaking out because, he's hearing the voices in his head and that's why he needs the medicine and stuff. Which, I mean, could go with that one. I mean, there's a lot of ways that they could establish other villains in an early stage, but, I mean, I don't think they're going to establish like the main top tier ones probably until season 2 at least. Season 2, 3.
Going back to what we're talking about, I'm not sure if this show is going to go that way, though. As far as, look at how Arrow started. They had no super villains. And then going into the end of season 1, that's when we started getting that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was actually, I've heard interviews with Mark Hamill because he was in the original Flash show. That was the downfall of that show. Was that it was a superhero show, but there was no, super villain.
Yeah.
To where are we going to be able to have that in this show to maybe keep the people who are wanting that, around?
Yeah. So that's why, like I said, I'm fond of the idea of Fish Mooney, where she's kind of like the anchor that's going to lead a lot of things to go the way they do. Because, like you said, right now without the Waynes there, everything's going to be up in the air. And if you look at any Batman movie or Batman reference, that's when the League of Shadows decides to come in. That's when other families decides to rise up. That's when Hush starts taking play. I mean, you can actually mention him. Like, he might actually be a character.
Hush would be a good one.
He'd be a good character, as an adversary to Bruce Wayne or something. As a child, be a friend type of figure, and then little by little start seeing his hatred and turmoil towards Bruce Wayne. I mean, they could do a year jump. I could see that possibly happening, or if they start aging, they age with the show. But yeah, I would actually want to see first 2 years of introductory, and then by season 3, bam, it's a 5-year jump or a 10-year jump, and this is what's going on now and stuff, and you already see kind of an older.
Maybe see Bruce Wayne, either training with the League of Shadows or training, to become Batman.
Yeah.
Not necessarily seeing Batman, but seeing that training.
Yeah.
But going off with the wild card villain, not even from Batman, more of a Superman villain, but Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Mxyzptlk. Why does that sound familiar?
That does sound familiar. I'm trying to think.
Mr. Mxyzptlk is the guy that turns everything on its head. I know he's been in he was in Scribblenauts Unmasked. He's one of the major kind of fighters for that game.
Really?
But he's just he's the epitome of a leprechaun in the DCU.
I know who you're talking about now. I know exactly. I've seen him before. I've read with stories with him. He's the Great Gazoo, but yeah.
I'm probably butchered this name while I'm looking it up. Oh, there
Mr. Mxyzptlk.
See, there he is right there, in Superman, and there's how he looks right there. What? So he's more of a Superman character, but I think it would be maybe cool if they wanted to put in maybe just do the jump real quick to see a future.
Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter
That's another one.
Because he is an older character.
Just thought about that right now. Mad Hatter. I would love to see the Mad Hatter.
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor.
Maybe, like see more crossover
or something.
Lex Luthor fighting for control over, cleaning up Gotham.
True.
Because that was one of the things that has gotten brought up a lot, where Luthor tries to step in, and Batman, Bruce Wayne stops him from trying to put his hands anywhere in Gotham because he already knows what he does in Metropolis. So a quick reference of him. I mean, you saw it in the movie. Luthor's mentioned in the Superman movie, and they did mention the Wayne stuff in there too. So I could see them mentioning LexCorp or something in the show.
I think the connections are definitely there. It's just a matter of how they want to put them in. But like we said, the show has an enormous amount of potential.
If you had to compare the show to the universe of either Smallville or Arrow and the Flash that's coming out, because we've already seen the pilot, what universe would you put it? Because those TV universes, if they were trying to go off something that was similar to one another.
I feel like they're trying. Okay, I know I'm not gonna answer it particularly the way that you're asking, but for me right now, they're trying to go with the kind of darkness of Arrow, but I think at this early stage, they're going to be closer to something like Smallville.
That's what I was going to say, Smallville.
That's what I'm thinking, because the tone is set. I mean, people are getting shot and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, they have... Fox doesn't care. They'll kill people on their
well, like
network. You
said, it's pretty much like a Law and Order right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can see that they're trying to go for the darkness and deep of Arrow and stuff like that with the emotional level. But in the end, I think that, you might see Smallville references. You might see, references from the other shows that came out. But Smallville was under... It wasn't by Fox.
It was WB,
right? Yeah.
Oh, WB.
So it's going to be a complication with that one. And same with, Arrow and Flash being on CW. So...
Well, the thing about that, though, is that technically they could move around it because NBC is the one doing Constantine.
Yeah.
So where, they're not... Marvel or DC isn't necessarily doing what Marvel is doing to where they're trying to keep it in-house. They're pretty much trying to say, hey, you can go ahead and do what you're trying to do, but, try to keep it around the same area.
Yeah, try to keep the tones.
Because I want to say, Smallville was actually the first, I'm sure I'm going to get hate over this or whatever. I did not like Smallville. I really didn't.
I couldn't get into it either. I'm not going to lie. I tried watching a few episodes, but I'm not a Superman person. He's too much of a Boy Scout for me. I mean, now that I've watched him, the only reason that I even started liking Superman was after I watched All-Star Superman, the cartoon, and I got open to the idea. I was like, damn, this is actually really good. And I felt bad for him at the end of the movie where he kind of seamlessly died, a hero. And Lex Luthor, kind of came along wow, I was wrong this whole time. So for me, I kind of, if it wasn't for that, I'm not going to lie, I would strongly still dislike Superman because I never cared for him as a character.
I just felt that that Smallville tried to be too comic book, and it made it really gimmicky. For one, the Justice League episode from Smallville, they look so much like their kind of comic book counterparts. It's bad.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing Green Arrow in that weird, green spandex, and I'm just it's not working out for me. And same thing when they tried to show Hawkman. But they did do a really good, what's his name? The dude that has the gold helmet.
God, I know.
You know who I'm talking about.
The bronze decap. No. The gold helmet you're talking about? Damn it, it's going to slip my mind right now because I'm so tired.
Me too.
I'll go ahead and put a picture, I'm sure, you if you know Gold Helmet, you probably know who I'm talking about. Because he's literally the only person with the gold helmet.
In the Justice League.
Yeah.
Damn it, I know his name too. It's at the tip of my tongue, but blah, blah, blah. I know, I get what you're going with that, yeah. That's where I'm hoping that the show just doesn't get gimmicky and stuff like that. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I don't like Superman. It's just he always seems so gimmicky. And, I mean, the first Christopher Reeve movies, now that I'm older and I have to rewatch them again, I was like, okay, that's cool. The Brett Ratner one was really long and boring, and it played out for so long. It was like watching the Titanic all over again.
Whoa.
Yes, I was waiting for that ship to sink.
Hey, my
You're watching now.
I was waiting.
My heart will go on.
I was waiting for that ship to sink halfway during that movie, and
you uncultured swine.
You calling me a swine?
Yeah, I'm calling you.
Anyways, back to the subject. I'm not uncultured just because I find the Superman movies boring.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about
You're
Titanic.
talking about Titanic, sadly.
that movie was fake besides the ship going down. You know, I would have laughed if he would have hit the propeller or made that noise. It flipped down to the bottom. That would have been hilarious to just see as he flips back.
I know I usually do pictures for everybody to kind of like give them the mascot. I'm now making my mascot that dude. That dude is my guy now.
Doesn't he have a mustache too?
No, I'm gonna
fucking get a fake one.
Actually, yeah, I think he
gets
does.
A fake one,
he gets a fake one when he tries to rob the bank.
Yes.
God.
Mustache here.
I know. I gotta get a figure of that guy now.
So yeah, I mean, like,
that's your picture on my phone.
I'm giving this show, 2 thumbs up so far, just because it's good for like people. Like I said, if you've watched Batman lore, and you've gotten into it after he becomes Batman, this is a good starting point. And for those people who haven't seen it, like I said, it's a good 8. I mean, for a crime show, and starting off like, hey, I wonder what Batman shows are like and stuff like that. This is pretty good.
Honestly, going with what you're saying, I think this is a great show for people who are not familiar with comic books
at all.
And those people like I have a family member who isn't really into superheroes, but they go out to Barnes and Noble and buy those hardback compendiums of the comic books. So I feel like for them, this is a show for them to where they can say what's the deal with this new Batman movie coming out. And they can watch something like Gotham and say, oh, okay, here's a little taste. I'm going to go in deeper, Pretty much what Marvel movies are doing now for kids. They make them look good, and they end up getting into comic books.
Yeah, and kids know more characters that, like, Moon Knight and stuff like that, that you wouldn't expect them to know. Like, I see kids drawing pictures of characters that, I mean, I remember seeing as a kid that I was like, oh, okay, I remember him, and then now I'm looking at him like, damn, you actually know who that is now? And they're like, yeah, it's Moon Knight, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't know Moon Knight until like I was 14. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. It's giving the people the opportunity to go back and, do research on it. And to be honest, I don't know many Jim Gordon published books or anything like that. Besides, like, where he was just a character in the storyline. I mean, I can't look back. I would have to do my research. And
I think right now Eternal is the biggest one that has, Gordon in a larger role.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, that's it. So I want to see if I'm missing out on something and try to read up on those and come back and be like, okay, so I'm seeing where they're pulling some of the information from, blah, blah, blah. Because I think right now, a lot of this stuff is just creative control as they're going along with it. And somebody I would love to see direct one of these episodes, if they're going to, since they're going into the lore and everything and it's all a good start, Kevin Smith.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love to see.
He hasn't done Fat it yet. Man on Batman himself.
Yeah, if he hasn't done it yet, I would love to hear that he either screenwrote or he directed one of the episodes, and I would love to check it out. If he hasn't done the first 1 or 2, I mean, I'm going to look into it right now. But if he does do like later on episodes, I think he would be a good person to go to because I mean, he's having a lot of I guess input or like a lot of chances to go check out the new Batman set and everything like that. So for him to get an idea of, hey, I can bring this into here, I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. If I've probably mentioned it before on the podcast, but like I've become a huge Kevin Smith fan. So, any final words, Mega Man?
Uncultured swine.
Yeah, uncultured swine. I just like the direction it's going in already. Like we've said a few times already, the potential's there. If the potential's there, they just gotta know how to seize it. And I want to see Kevin Smith direct.
Yeah.
Or have some type of...
I would like to see actually a cameo. I want a cameo as well.
Kevin Smith cameo?
Yeah.
He gets mugged.
Maybe even the JMU.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob cameo, and maybe Jay's one of the dudes they have to interrogate, and
hey man.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah.
Just cut it off right there.
And then I think that's cool. It's I think it's cool when shows are serious, but they don't take themselves too serious. And I feel like a comic book show shouldn't take itself too seriously.
Oh, hell no.
So, because look at how many funny moments we have in Arrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's still considered a very gritty show.
Yeah, there's a ton, but it still has it has its moments. It has its little moments where you get a good chuckle. You're like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, so far, just with the stuff with the Penguin, I keep rolling with him.
Yeah.
The Penguin's making me laugh the most. I was like, dude, this guy is gritty as hell. And so far, okay, the one thing that we haven't mentioned, he doesn't like to be called Penguin right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he hates it.
He hates it. Like
that's his trigger word. That's his trigger word.
That's his unhappy word.
Yeah.
Stuff.
That's when he turned into that.
He just looks at me like,
I was looking up the directors for some of these for these episodes, and it's Danny Cannon and Bruno Heller. So
Okay.
no Kevin Smith yet. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a good point right there. I'm excited now. I'm even more excited. At first, when I heard about the show, I was like, okay, I'm not a big Batman fan. I do like him, but I want to.
I want
watch
a Green
it.
Lantern TV show or T-shirt.
Hey.
A T-shirt and a TV show.
I got a T-shirt. Thank you very much.
I got 50 T-shirts.
You got 50 T-shirts and an X-Men one.
Leave the X-Men shirt out of this. Disregard that last comment.
So that is
Shut up,
our
Otto.
first thoughts with the new with the new Gotham TV show.
Actually, next week will be Arrow.
Yeah. Wait, is it next week?
Yeah, next week is Arrow.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so next podcast will probably be Arrow.
Because that's next Wednesday.
You know what? I'm going to try to work some things out. We'll go ahead and try to make the next podcast live over YouTube. So, yeah. We're all gold.
We're all gold.
So we'll try to do that to where, some of you guys who actually listen or watch the podcast will go ahead and do it live. It'll all record. You're able to see what we look like.
Stephen Amell, if you happen to hear
They've
this
already
podcast.
seen it.
You've seen what we look
I
like.
hope you're not upset over the picture I posted on your wall a while back.
Oh.
It was a game we played, and I pulled the bad straw.
You
And
pulled the
I had to take a picture for you, but you're awesome, and I would love to do a live podcast over Arrow.
As well as I am trying to do
Flash. Choose next week.
Flash is the week after Arrow.
No, it's the day before.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the Flash on Tuesday and Arrow on Wednesday.
Oh
What?
yes.
Because CW is already going back with their lineup.
So I know Mr. Man over here. Mega Man has not watched any of Arrow, and we are very disappointed.
For that, I'm uncultured. Forgive me.
And so,
That's fine.
yeah, you're the most uncultured because of that.
He didn't like Titanic. How
I don't
come
like
culture
Titanic.
be...
I just
This is-
I don't like it.
We're changing the name to the Uncultured Podcast.
It's not the fact that I
Cultured
don't
science.
like it. It's just long, and Billy Zane. I mean, I can only take so much of that guy.
Billy Zane wasn't bad in that movie.
Hey.
All of his other movies...
Best movie that's long? The Green Mile. Come on.
Gangs of New York.
Ah,
Ooh,
that's
Gangs.
a really...
I will give you Gangs
that's
in New
a
York.
great
I will
movie.
give you Gangs in New York.
Leo DiCaprio's best performance.
If we're talking about a long movie with Leo, it's gonna be Gangs in New York.
Gangs of New
We're
York.
just talking about The Departed.
Actually, even The Departed and Wolf of Wall Street are actually pretty good.
I still haven't seen
any
Wolf of Wall
Martin
Street.
Scorsese film. I think is
Martin
worth
Scorsese
a
is a
watch
genius.
at least one time. Even if you can't watch it more than once.
Inception.
Okay, so going back to what we were saying.
Goodfellas.
Good.
Actually, that's a sick movie. If you
Goodfellas is bad. Ray Liotta.
The Flash starts. So you were starting with the Flash.
I'll
You've seen
start
the
with
pilot
Flash.
already.
Yeah,
haven't you? Yeah.
That's all with you guys.
So the pilot will be the first one we go ahead and redo, just like this one. We'll try to get all four of us in it.
That pilot had me right there, and I was like, okay.
That pilot had so many
if
Easter
Arrow
eggs
is as good as
Oh.
Flash, which
Oh
I'm
my
sure it is,
gosh.
which I'm sure it is because I hear
Face
all
melter.
this stuff, which I hear all this stuff about Arrow, and this guy has a man boner over freaking Stephen Amell.
Dude, did you ever see the meme that he posted up? It's like the Stephen Amell making straight men question their sexuality since 2010 or whatever. Well, since 2011 when the show first came out. I don't know, like that's actually I know you like to sit there and watch Power Rangers all day. You actually should catch up on Arrow this week until it actually premieres because I was actually I think the first one I worked that ran around like, hey, have you guys watched Arrow? I started watching the show. It's so amazing.
I think the final. I was watching it as well, and I think when we finally worked together, we had mentioned it, and we were like, "Oh my god, Arrow is so amazing!"
Yeah.
Oh my god, yes,
'cause
that's
I remember
right.
I was running. I was telling all my coworkers like, "Have you watched Arrow?" I was like, "This show is actually really good," and it was one of those shows that it was on Netflix. I got to the weird side of Netflix, I guess. I had watched everything else,
To the
and
weird side of
it just
Netflix.
didn't look promising to me. I just saw a picture of a half naked guy, and I was like, Arrow, and I was like, and then there was all this fuss about it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna get into it. Finally, just one night, I was up. I had watched all the movies on there. They took away Revenge of the Nerds and all the movies I like watching. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I was like, Arrow just kept popping up. It's like things you may like, and I was like, okay, Netflix, let's see if I really like this. I put on the first episode. I was like, okay, it's a little interesting. Got to like the fourth episode, and I was hooked. I was like, this show's actually really good. And I got to work, and I was like, you guys even watch this show, or like, am I missing out on even more? And nobody else watched it, so I ran through season 1 right before they had even announced the trailer at Comic-Con for season 2. And by the time I had finished the episode and I saw the trailer, I was like, oh my god! I just freaked out. I was like, yes, I'm ready for season 2. And I've been hooked on that show, and I really like a lot of stuff that goes on. So
I guess my homework is to watch Arrow.
I think your homework
for the next 2 days.
If you find this any bit good, you'll love Arrow.
Yeah.
Trust me. The first season, like I said, it starts off a little slow, but
I'm okay with it.
No, but I mean, like, it's not that slow, because even the first episode has like a lot of stuff going on.
The way the show progresses, it has those flashback moments, and that's what ties you in, because you're like, oh wait, okay, so what just happened on the island? And then it'll flash you back to what's happening now, and you're like, what is he doing at this nightclub? You know, like,
yeah, it has so many moments in it, and
all right, I'll watch it.
I think you at least need to get through season 1 right away. I'm planning on buying season 2 sometime this week.
We need to have a marathon, like, and straight up do it, because I don't think even Captain Holiday's caught up with Arrow at all either.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't think anybody is. I think me and you are the only two that actually stayed on it. And yeah, I mean, honestly,
my only source of the only reason me having an Xbox One was to watch Arrow on.
Just bumping crap now, dude.
Hey, man.
Dude, that's actually, if there's any reason to get an Xbox One, it's because of the CW app. I'm not gonna lie, we don't have it on PlayStation.
I know.
I get a little depressed about that. It was actually one of the selling points for me, besides Halo and a couple other things, Killer Instinct. The CW app was actually something that I was like, you know, I'm actually pretty interested in having that now, because you come home and it's already on the commercial free and everything, right? Yeah. For me, I have to actually sit. I DVR it. I get home from work, and I just fast forward through the commercials, which gets a little monotonous after a certain point because I keep fast forwarding too far.
If I'm not mistaken, Arrow is on. They changed it. It used to be on Wednesdays, but now it's on a different day. Correct?
No, it's coming on Wednesdays, I believe.
Okay,
so
is it Flash Tuesday
and then Arrow Wednesday?
Okay,
because I think they lost one of their shows. The CW, like was it the 100 or one of?
Yes.
Supernatural? No.
Yeah, it was 99 or something like that.
It was something about I think the people with extra powers, right?
No, I think what it was that these kids got sent down to Earth.
No, I think they kept that one.
Did they?
I think they kept the one where they got sent to Earth. I think they got rid of the one because his
Supernatural stayed there.
Of course.
Yeah, Supernatural's one of the biggest shows.
Yeah, I want to say it was the one where those kids had. It was one the ones where the kids had powers, because it was the one. Remember, Stephen Amell's brother?
Yeah. That's the one where they send the kids down.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's the one they got. I thought it was the other one.
Yeah.
Going back to Xbox Ones, I almost gave Moustache here a heart attack earlier.
Why?
I told you I pre-ordered. I was gonna pre-order Xbox One.
I need to.
You gotta record it now.
From your friends list.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. Tell me your name, day one.
I ain't telling you nothing.
So we'll set up a block, automatic block.
But
receive no friend requests.
But yeah,
no game requests either.
Why don't we go ahead and just set up a for sure weekly podcast on a Wednesday, and why don't we just have we're having a Gotham day right now? Why don't we make Wednesday? Oh well, I work at the other job on Wednesday, so I get off at 10.
Perfect.
So.
Oh yeah, because you don't work Wednesday nights, huh? Yeah, we'll just make. Wednesday will be the days that we come over here. We catch up with Gotham. And we catch up with Arrow.
Yeah, how about we do Gotham Mondays, and then we'll do
Arrow Wednesdays.
Arrow Win the Flash on Wednesday.
Nice. I can do that. Yeah. That sounds possible. So you guys will be getting to 2 podcasts a week.
If things work out correctly. It's all a matter of editing. Once we start to get things maybe nailed down with the live one through YouTube or something like that, the quicker they can come out.
Yeah.
Because it's just a matter of editing, adding pictures, things like that. Mm-hmm. So.
Keeping the time down so that way we don't waste a lot of time adding pictures and everything. So I'm really looking forward to that, and like I said, I'm looking forward to season 3 of Arrow. I mean, the last 4 months have been pretty barren on TV.
Yes. Oh my god!
I've literally gone through Netflix twice.
We've gone through the worst spot with summer of no video games, and then
a movie
right when like Arrow and everything ended, we had like no TV. So
I've literally
Nothing to do.
yeah.
have watched everything on Netflix twice. I've watched Desperate Housewives all over again. I'll be honest, I've watched shows on there that if they're interesting to me and they have like a good plot to it, I'll watch it. So I've watched Desperate Housewives all over again. I've been watching 30 Rock and other random Weeds again and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's why I've been getting back into like anime so much too.
Yeah, because there's nothing to look forward on TV, and I mean
Sora,
now that
man.
and then there weren't the video game selections weren't that high either. So now that we have Destiny and all these games coming out,
Speaking of Destiny, we still need to do that podcast we talked about.
We do need to do a
We just
Destiny
need
podcast.
the four of us need to organize it to where we all can do it together.
we should just do the raid.
That's what I was thinking, but
You really think so? With the four of us?
no, like we could add two more
Us
people.
and
We
then-
could probably like
Oh.
add like if Miss Moustache wants to
If
join.
you get the PS4,
That's not gonna happen anytime soon.
I might get one pretty soon, so I could let you borrow it.
Yeah, we could do that, or we can always make it. Maybe just add some more people, like
Yeah,
Jay, actually, we could
Yeah.
actually.
Jay would be perfect.
the other knife cutter.
Okay.
And then we'll call him Mr. Disaster.
Mr.
Disaster.
Okay, and this might sound a little biased, but it's just me. Does Jay look like the guy from Time Force Power Rangers, the guy with the green hair? Like a
Oh
skin,
my
like
god!
the guy from
The guy with the gem on his forehead.
Does he like his mannerisms?
Trip.
If you look at show him a video real quick, Eric, show him a picture of Trip real quick. The mannerisms that Ranger has, and then his facial expressions that time, he looks like a skinny version of Jay to me. He looks like Jay.
We've already nailed down that Jay is the local Freddie Wong.
Yes, he is a local Freddie Wong, but you have to see the mannerisms of this.
You gotta put this picture on the podcast.
You have to look at him and watch at least like a couple episodes of Time Force and see the way he laughs and the way he moves.
Yeah.
He looks like Jay to me. I was rolling.
Disaster.
I tell you.
So
Damn.
you know, maybe we'll. I don't know how you guys like the Killer Cast either. I know for us it was hilarious.
A lot of
It
fun.
was a lot of fun.
So maybe we'll do another Killer Cast. You know, maybe add a bigger group, or maybe even maybe we'll add commentary.
Maybe it's time to kick out people out of the group. Or... That's how we cut people right there.
Get your cut out.
I'm starting a foundation.
You're the
Kill Beto
foundation.
Foundation.
You're a solid foundation.
Like
The
I
heart
said,
is.
thank you guys for listening. If you have listened this long, this
Rambling session.
this an hour and 8 minutes and counting. Like, comment, subscribe if you love our ramblings.
You check out our personal. Do you have a personal YouTube yet?
Yeah.
What
Oh,
is it?
I told you guys, Mega Man 5 TV or Mega Man TV 5,
Okay, so
What
we
is it?
have Mega Man at Mega Man TV5.
something like that.
I'll
put a link.
Do you have your Twitch set up yet?
I believe I do.
If you have it set up, you can have it set up to where it goes to YouTube, I think, as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and so maybe
I
if
got
you
the app, so
if you start doing maybe gameplays through the PlayStation, you can always just push them that way. Same thing with the gorgeous man here. What's yours?
Beto Median. BetoMidian.
Beto Median.
Median. That's my
Median.
YouTube channel. I don't really have anything uploaded
Yeah.
yet, but
Well, I think we have a comic convention coming up locally, so we're actually going to go to that. We're hoping Walter Jones is going to be there. He did cancel last minute, but
what?
we are going to still see the Blue Ranger from Super Samurai.
and
Maybe
we're trying
we
to
can
dress
try
up.
get
Actually,
him.
we're trying to do.
Yes, we
cosplay.
are trying to cosplay. So maybe you'll see the whole group dressed up.
And for those of us who don't keep up with our YouTube channels, I'll be honest, I really don't like recording a lot.
neither.
It's not my favorite thing to do, just because I usually use my camera phone, and I don't feel that it's the most reliable thing to use. So, I mean, maybe from the day at Comic-Con, or maybe like in the future, I'll start adding little videos to mine.
Droids can't do.
Yeah, I don't. No, it records well. I just don't like using it. It doesn't feel sturdy. It doesn't feel like a camcorder to me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe little by little, I'll start adding more videos of myself and things that I do in my everyday life. So you'll see a lot of fist clapping and stuff. That's one of my bad mannerisms that they keep making fun of me over here. Is when I sit here and I get excited, I ball of one fist and I clap it with my hand and I'm like, "What's up, guys?"
You got the thunderclap over here.
Got the thunderclap. So I mean, I'm probably gonna start keeping my YouTube as active as of lately. I'll make a promise that I will start adding more content to my YouTube channel and trying to promote, you know, the stuff that I'm into more. Because like I said, me and Champagne are both into Arrow. As for Eric, he isn't, but Eric can tell you almost anything there is to need to know about Power Rangers because we've tried playing Trivial Pursuit with him.
As much as we thought that we knew a lot about Power Rangers, we have been blown out of the water by the guy to the left over here.
And you know, even though we have a large selection, we have a lot of stuff that we talk about. Surprisingly, he knows a lot more of the little nitpicking stuff that we don't remember.
I know too much.
So, I mean, maybe if you guys have Power Ranger questions or anything that you want to ask either one of us, you know, feel free to leave questions on here. We'll answer them on our own channels and, you know, try to get more related to you guys. Because Moustache has already made a solid foundation with you guys. You know, maybe it's time we start venturing out and expressing ourselves also.
You know, and maybe if you guys, if you didn't want so much the, you know, 2 different channels, I have been thinking about making one solid channel for, you know, everybody to add content onto, you know, whether it be the 3 of us or individuals, to kind of make it a hub for all of us. So, you know, and I'm not sure if you guys, you know, like the name The Stash, you know, it's kind of just come
Send
about
us feedback.
that way. Yeah, definitely.
Tell us what you'd like. Like,
you know, I see some of the thumbs up on the videos. You know, comment. It does not hurt. We enjoy anything that you say. You know, you can say haha. You can say it's time for some stabbing.
Roberto.
So, you know, tell us what's up. You know, we always enjoy connecting with you guys.
We love our fans,
especially the dude at Power Morphicon.
You know, it's funny, like every
hey man.
Now that we're
how about them Kings?
I think little by little that we're taking this stuff seriously. We're starting to meet other YouTubers and starting to, like, you know, trying to get ourselves out there. I mean, for me, like Andrew met a lot of his favorite YouTubers at Power Morphicon, and for me, just recently, I've been super excited because I've actually played online with one of my favorite YouTubers, which is Rick Shrapnel, and I keep talking about it like consistently because it's something that I never thought I would do. And yesterday, 2 days ago, I actually played the raid on the Vault of Glass, the raid on Destiny with him, and we beat it. And it was my first time ever playing that raid. So I've been super ecstatic, and you know, that's one of the reasons why I kind of want to start pushing out my own content, or, you know, adding to our own channel. So I mean, if you go in the commentary on his video, you'll hear myself talking. You know, the little quips that we all say towards each other, which was actually made a lot of fun. You know, I'm actually wanting to, you know, push my own stuff out, and if we do make the second channel, I would like to know what you guys would like to see from us. I mean, we all have our different things to offer. We all have our different personalities, as you can hear in the conversations that we have. So, you know, just give us some feedback on what you would like or what you would like us to cut out of the shows and stuff.
All right.
Well,
so
signing off.
It is now 3:10 a.m.
God, I need to go to sleep.
So, as always, it's Moustache,
Mega Man,
Gorgeous Man.
Have fun.